right, well, let's bring Ben on the show right now. Let's see what's on his radar today. Let's give Ben the special intro, and first guest of the day coming up right now. Ben, how we doing?
What's up? How you doing, Spencer? Good to see you. Hi, Aaron.
Ben, it's been too long.
It's been a while. We've been busy publishing a bunch of articles through Benzinga, but I haven't been on the show in a while, so glad to be back.
Well, we're still here. We're at our desk doing our thing, watching the markets. What are you watching out there?
Wow. Well, you know what? It's been kind of a inflection week for me personally in my trading portfolio.
Oh, tell us why.
My largest position has been Rumble CFVI for since the merger was announced with that SPAC. It's been about 2 months. I've just been holding it. And last week, I identified an inflection. And I was like doubling down. I was all over social media telling people the inflection point's here. Get into the stock now. So, I mean, the stock's up, I don't know, at least 40% this year. And it turned my trading account into the green.
What was the inflection point that you saw last week?
So I do have a bunch of slides I do want to go through, but just generally speaking, I mean, you know, the story trading method is looking at the 4 pillars. So we're looking at sentiment, catalyst, technicals, and fundamentals. So I'm looking at everything. And there was just a lot of different factors coming in together. Last week, before the Joe Rogan incident already, there was record metrics that were shared by the company, which we kind of knew was coming because I'm looking at app ranking data. I'm looking at early January, a lot of traffic coming in to the site. So they released record metrics, 10.8 billion minutes watched in January, 39 million monthly active users. So that already started causing the stock to decouple from DWAC because it's been tied to the hip with DWAC. And since that press release, and even a couple days before Joe Rogan, you started seeing the performance diverge as people are starting to understand that this is a stock that has the sentiment benefit of a DWAC, but it also has great fundamentals behind it. So that's why I love this position. It's my largest position.
So you saw the app, the activity on the Rumble app, but that is only one pillar. That's one of the 4 pillars. So
that's one of the 4 pillars.
What else did you see?
So, you know, maybe right now what I'll do is share a few slides I have over here. And,
yes, please.
Sure. Let's see here. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, so let's move on from that. So this is Rumble. So for those of you who are not familiar, it's a SPAC that Cantor Fitzgerald sponsored. It's CFVI. Last trade $16. The valuation was at $2.1 million at $10. So that's an implied market cap after all the new shares are issued at $3.36 billion at roughly today's price. So what we try to do,
that's a large valuation. $3.6 billion for a company this young, but all right.
Yeah, well, I'll show you some metrics. I think it's worth at least double that right now, or at least $5 billion. So
let's hear it.
All right. So here's the chart, and you can see here, you know, it had the initial pop, then you had a pullback, and you had this move here in early January when Trump started streaming some stuff, and then most recently, we know what's been happening. So trying to understand the chart based on these 4 pillars: sentiment, catalyst, fundamentals, and technicals. So fundamentals, I said, it could be worth double. Here's some slides I'm going to show you from the Cantor Fitzgerald deck. I also did my own research correlating monthly active users with market cap. And I'm at a 39 million, I think is what they just reported. We'll show it in a second. At 39 million, you can make an argument it's worth at least 5 billion comparing it to other social media companies. And of course, you can discount that because it's not fully monetized yet, but you can maybe add a premium back because of the very high growth and consider it a wash. That's how I'm looking at it. So I think this stock, before any of the Joe Rogan stuff, is probably worth around $25. Here's some metrics, engagement metrics that were shared. But it's important to note that this is not just a YouTube alternative. Also from the Cantor Fitzgerald deck, they're getting into video streaming, email services, cloud services, storage, cloud hosting. And the reason that they have that opportunity is, quite frankly, because what happened with Parler. Now, you can agree or disagree with Parler, but I know firsthand from, I mean, a big swath of people in the business world, what Amazon Web Services did to Parler on January 10th or 11th, just pulling them off the internet. That's the catalyst which is living forever. That's the catalyst which is causing a parallel economy to be built. This is the reason, the impetus why people are moving over, even if they think they'll never be banned from Amazon Web Services, but it's just that security, it's a philosophical thing. If there's an alternative, they're going to an alternative. They're not going to stick with Amazon because people just thought that was beyond a red line, just pulling Parler off of the internet completely. So we can see here that it's, again, not just a YouTube alternative. They already have a partnership with Trump's future platform, DWAC, which, by the way, I don't like. Maybe we can get to that in the end. I don't think that's a good investment at all. But they're providing the cloud services for the DWAC app, Truth Social. Also, they are investing in their own payment processor. They just bought I don't know how much, but they just invested in a company called Parallel Economy to build their own payment processor. And this is all about creating that parallel economy with that impetus. You know, the big tech, they have the discretion to deperson and ban any kind of organization they want. So this is the lane that was opened for Rumble to come in here. And, you know, as a result, we see last week before the Joe Rogan thing, February 3rd, new highs were reported in January, 10.8 billion minutes watched, 39 million monthly active users. I put together a chart with the help of Niraj at StoryTrading. He's a great follow on Twitter, by the way. This is data points that I put together from interviews, from public tweets, and from press releases. This is a monthly chart of monthly active users. And you can see it's not a record every single month, but it's stepping its way higher with higher lows. And right now we're at 39 million monthly active users. And again, I refer you back to this chart. You can look at these market caps. This is a little bit old before the crash. But even now, you know, after the crash at 39 million monthly active users, I think it could be worth at least $5 billion. And again, that doesn't include the cloud services. That doesn't include On Locals, which I barely even talked about, which is an excellent platform that they bought recently, social media platform. So, and then you guys know about what happened with Joe Rogan, right? So Joe Rogan, you want me to pause there?
Yeah, well, no, I wanted to. There was a lot there. So maybe before we get to Joe Rogan,
Sure.
The core here is the video platform, right? There is some other stuff that you just mentioned. There is the expansion into cloud and all that, but like the core here is still the video, right? It's still the player.
The 39 million monthly active users, that's for the player.
Right.
But
that's still the business as it stands right now, right?
Maybe as it stands right now, but the market's forward looking. And the reason a lot of people are invested, including myself, is because of the greater opportunity in cloud services.
Okay. So that to you is where the opportunity is. Let's go to the Joe Rogan thing, because I kind of thought this was I thought this was the whole thing was stupid. Honestly, let's get your take on it, and then we can discuss. Yeah.
Sure. All right. So Joe Rogan, real interesting event. I think the way it played out was very good for the company, but it's not really about Joe. This move to 16, I think, was going to happen anyway. Maybe the timing was a little different, but again, they had the record metrics last month. But first, I want to put out there that there is context. Joe Rogan already in the past, there's a video out on this, but he was saying, hey, if I could be on Rumble, I would be. But he has a contract with Spotify. He can't be, right? And this was in the Cantor Fitzgerald deck. So from day one, you know, Rumble has been out there kind of trying to associate themselves with Joe Rogan, maybe planting a seed so they can possibly get him in the future, right? So we know, or people are keeping up know, that they put this offer out for $100 million and over 4 years. And we got the backstory from Dave Rubin yesterday, who was the founder of On Locals, who's now is working for Rumble, about this offer. And it turns out that offer was very real. This was cleared by their accountant, cleared by their attorney. It really is $100 million over 4 years, again, approved by accountant and legal. But to me, it's not about that, because the chances he's going to leave Spotify now are probably close to zero, okay? But what it signifies, Here we go. It signifies to me it shines a light on the opportunity. This whole incident with Joe Rogan shines a light on the opportunity about censorship, that there is an alternative, and it also shows that the company is aggressive. They've met the moment, very social media savvy. I'm going to tell a little story in just a second about how hungry this team is, not only publicly, but privately. In fact, here it goes. So I connected with Rumble because we were interviewing the CEO of Fun, PHUN, which is associated in this Trump ecosystem of stocks, DWAC, CFVI, Fun, and a couple others. So I was doing an interview with Fun, and people on social media are like, don't do it on YouTube, do it on Rumble. So I contacted Rumble to figure out how to set up live streaming. And we're a little tiny company, StoryTrading. We're like a little nothing compared to you guys, right? So, but they really went after us to make sure we got onboarded. They immediately set up a Zoom with me. This team here, you can see, what is that? 11:55 p.m. at night. This guy's working Eastern Standard, right? Again, here's another email. I told them I found the bug. They fixed the bug like 2 days later, put an update out in the store, emailed me at 12:59 in the morning. They were very, very aggressive. They got me onto the Zoom. They showed me how to port over to Rumble. And in fact, look at this. There's a one button way to sync all of your videos from YouTube to Rumble, right? I was not planning on doing that at all. I was like, I don't want another platform to put stuff on. And you know what? It may be controversial. People may not want it there, right? I said, I just want to go do this one live stream with Fun. But as it turns out, it was just like 2 clicks. Why not? And then voila, a few hours later, all of our videos on YouTube were on Rumble, and we started getting all kinds of views on them. And man, you guys got to tell Jason and Luke about this. With just a couple clicks, you can get all the Benzinga videos on Rumble. You know, I had someone who we interviewed were like, oh, you're going on Rumble. I don't know if I want my thing there. You know, can you remove it? But then after I actually put it up and he saw that it was getting views and people are using it, he changed his mind, even though he's like left wing. So, I mean, this is a great business opportunity, especially since the platform is young. To be there early, you can grow your follower count quick. Very, very easy to sync everything up. And for me, it all adds up to this. Because of that Joe Rogan situation, combined with the record metrics, combined with how I see that this team is so hungry. This was at like $12. I posted this on social media last week. Catalyst and sentiment have reached escape velocity. Technicals are not yet there, but they'll follow. Technicals are a lagging indicator. That's how story trading works. It's my largest position. I haven't sold any, by the way. Moved up from like 12 to 18.5. Still haven't sold. It's my largest position. I'm thinking maybe I can make a 7-figure profit on this, just like I did with Air. Air was the first 7-figure profit in my life last year, and I'm thinking I have a chance to do it here.
What are you in from on CFVI?
Maybe my average is around 1260 or 1270.
Okay.
I did lose some money on options every month. I keep playing some options, so but gained it back. So anyway, my average is around 1270. But here's the deal. DWAC, which I don't think is a good investment. I'll put a little note why in a second. But we saw that stock go from like 10 to 50 in day one, and then 50 to 175 the next day. And we talked about this extensively at StoryTrading, that move to 50 was all about sentiment. It's people buying the stock for ideological reasons who are holding with diamond hands. And I believe what happened with Joe Rogan is an additional catalyst for people to view CFVI as an ideological play. To say, I don't like what's happening with Joe Rogan. There's a light being shown on censorship, whether they get Joe Rogan or not the point, right? But here's a platform which is not going to censor people, and I'm going to hold this stock ideologically with diamond hands, and I believe the float is being soaked up and absorbed to set up some sort of squeeze, to 20s, 30s, 40s in the next few weeks to few months. That's my thesis on it. I think it's a ticking time bomb, but I think this is a lot different than DWAC. For the people, oh, Ben's just doing the sentiment and it's a garbage company. No. DWAC is completely speculative. It's too expensive. They have a $1 billion death spiral financing pipe, which I don't think we have time to get into today. But with CFVI, with Rumble, you get that same sentiment tailwind, but with much better fundamentals. And I think I'm watching social media. I see the shift happening. I also see it on the charts. CFVI has been tied to the hip with DWAC. But the last week or so, it's not. Before the Joe Rogan, after the record numbers came out, they started diverging, and CFVI is starting to take the leadership position in this segment of quote-unquote Trump stocks. So that's my thesis on Rumble, and I am holding with diamond hands right now.
So I understand your point about the Joe Rogan thing being not about Joe Rogan. That being said, if you pull up a chart, and as I will right now, of CFVI, you can clearly see the chart reacted specifically to the Joe Rogan headline. That offer was made on Monday. The stock spiked, made its all-time high on Monday. I think those two are related. And so
Yes.
even if it wasn't a real, well, all right, I guess the word real offer is subjective. My take on the offer was like, sure, maybe like it was made in good faith, but it was not an offer that would be seriously considered in any way. It seemed like Joe Rogan and Spotify were on the exact same page this entire time, and that there was basically very little chance of him leaving the platform. So to me, it was just a cheap way for the company to sort of capture some headlines. And so I thought that's what the move was for on Monday. Now that move on Monday at least did not sustain itself, but it seemed like a lot of those gains have held, for the last couple of days. So I kind of thought that headline, the Joe Rogan thing with Rumble, was just noise. It was just noise. There was no reason to take that seriously at all, despite the fact that the stock went from what did it go from 13 to 18. To me, it just wasn't serious.
Well, I think it may not be serious in what's the likelihood Joe Rogan will accept it. In that viewpoint, you can say it's not serious. But in terms of, again, how serious is this? How serious is Rumble? I think they are serious. If Joe Rogan, if something happened with Spotify and it fell off there, they would take him in a heartbeat, I believe, and they have the money. I think they're getting $400 million from the merger with CFVI. So, and again, I think it shines a light on what's going on, which is very, very important. And it shows how hungry this team is. It's not just Joe Rogan. If you see, they're on social media all the time, grabbing anyone, not just for censorship reasons, but anyone who has any problem with YouTube, they're like publicly telling them, come on, join Rumble right now. We'll get you onboarded. And they're that aggressive publicly, and they are that aggressive privately with customer service. So it's definitely, they're all in, they're hungry, and they're doing everything they can, both publicly and privately, to onboard anyone who has any kind of issue with mainstream social media.
Wait, can we go back to a few slides on your thing to some of those metrics real fast?
Sure.
Did you have the user metrics up there?
Yeah, I'll grab them.
I want to get those up real fast because I want to see those again. Because here we go.
All right, this is the monthly active users.
Okay, that's what I want to see. So it's a little bit hard to see the numbers here. So it looks like that number on the right says
39 million. Sorry about the.
Okay, 39
million on the far right.
Yeah. Okay, 39 million monthly active users. That's as of January of this year. Right, January.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 39 million. It's actually more than I would have thought.
It's a lot. There's a lot of content on there.
Well,
I've been using the app myself.
I think what's interesting here, and I got to do that, Ben. I got to just get on Rumble and actually like explore it, see everything what's out. What I've found in actually researching this is through in the last couple of years, right? We've seen an uptick of criticism over big tech, for deplatforming certain people, censoring, and to be fair, it's mostly of on like right-wing voices, but there have been instances of whether it's Reddit, Twitter, whoever, taking down some like prominent left-wing voices as well. A lot of these alternative platforms have popped up, right? Whether it's Gab, Getter, Parler,
and they've failed
through Truth Social, and they've all failed pretty much for the same reason, that they can't get enough users because it's not. Essentially, people will go on Parler and they're just seeing the same thing, whatever. Twitter's interesting because you see different takes, whatever. So if Rumble can prove to me that it's not just getting, right-wing content creators on there and right-wing users, if it truly becomes like a true marketplace of ideas and the user count keeps growing, then I do think Rumble is more interesting than some of those other names I mentioned between Parler, Gab, Getter, what are some other Truth Social? I mean, there's all those ideas out there. I just think that there's a reason some of these other ones haven't worked in the past. So I'd be curious if Rumble's able to overcome those obstacles that the other platforms have run into.
Sure, I think I agree with some of what you said, but I think the reason that Parler and Gab didn't succeed is Gab's app was never ever approved. They never had a iOS, and you can't succeed without a smartphone app. And Parler, they were kicked off as a smartphone app. Now they came back later, but they totally lost their momentum because of that. So I think actually the biggest risk this company has is if Apple or Google decides, you know what, let's just ban Rumble too. They banned Parler and they didn't ever allow Gab on. So I'm actually a little curious why they do allow Rumble on, because there's a lot of content on there that is banned on YouTube. You can't, the anti-vax stuff you can't say on YouTube, and a lot of the content is anti-vax stuff on Rumble. And questioning the election you can't have on YouTube. A lot of the content is about that, right? So, and Apple and Google, could they just make a decision any day to ban them? Maybe. So I think that's the biggest risk that exists, and I think that's also the biggest reason why those other platforms didn't take off. You make a good point about, can they get cat and dog videos and music videos and people from the center. I mean, they got Alan Dershowitz recently, which is center, I believe, to come on.
Well, I don't know if that's the barometer we want to go for right now.
But it's early days.
Really
but what? But listen, you know what? Even if they don't get there, I'm not saying this is going to displace YouTube. But unfortunately, listen, I wish this was not the world we lived in. But because of the policies at YouTube of certain things you can't talk about, they're forcing the creation of two different platforms. And, maybe that is, a niche for them, right? Maybe they don't get as big as YouTube or displace YouTube, but maybe that's where you go for alternative content. And I think the market is very big and big enough for that. Remember, it's not just the US, it's a worldwide market. So, I can see them growing for a long time to come.
What about the SPAC risk here? I mean, at the end of the day, this is still a SPAC, and the merger hasn't even gone through yet.
I haven't heard any. I know DWAC does have a little bit, because there's some potential investigation going on, because they apparently perhaps maybe knew that their target was Truth Social before the SPAC launched, which is illegal. So that's something that's being investigated. So that's a possible. And also there's political reasons why people may want to stop Trump from that deal going through. But I have not heard anything, not even rumor or any hint of wrongdoing regarding this merger. So I'm not worried about that.
All right. I would say this, Ben. I appreciate your thoughtfulness on this. And I don't know if you've convinced me, although you do have me interested in this MAU chart. I think we'll probably, that's probably the one number to rule them all. If the MAUs keep growing, then that changes everything, and if they collapse, that changes everything as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that number going forward. Do you know anything about the timeline here on this SPAC merger, or no?
Q2 is all we have.
Q2. That's specific.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. And I lament asking this, but someone asked in the chat, so I'll just relay it to you. Do you have a price target? I think price targets are stupid, but do you have a price target?
I personally do. For some, I'm overweight now, and I have some options. So, it went to 1850. I didn't sell yet. I'm targeting like 20 to 25 to start. I think at 20, I'll start taking some off the table. 20
that's a much better question. At what point do you start to sell? So you said 20. If you get to 20, you start to lighten up.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good insight. I would much rather know that than like, I think it's not gonna go to 50 in 5 years. No one holds. Maybe some people hold 1,000% gainers, but most normal people don't. So okay.
Hey, it worked there.
at 20, you start lightening up. Which is actually not that far away from now. So, all right. That's good to know. Again, I appreciate the insight here. I appreciate the research and the thoughtfulness into it. And I think we should probably have more of this on the show, Aaron, because even if we don't necessarily agree, I'll give you props on the argument was.
I agree with everything Ben said. I just
was not convincing.
My only, I guess, criticism or like worry about the stock is what I stated. Just there have been a number of these platforms that have had like the same idea, right? That's the story behind it. Is we need an alternative to Facebook, Twitter, big tech. We need a free speech alternative, and these other platforms have failed to really grow and capture a user base. And it looks like, from what we can see so far, that Rumble's overcoming that. So I think we just got to stay on top of this story.
Yeah.
Ben, we'll have to bring you on to give
And-
more updates on Rumble. And of course, Rumble's not the only stock you're watching or looking at. So maybe next time you'll have something else too, and we can also do a touch back on Rumble. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, I think this story is worth watching.
Let's not act like the big tech companies don't all have relationships. Like, they're competitors, but they're also friends, right? So like Apple.
Oh yeah.
And Apple. And
When they
when they want to be friends, they're friends.
When they took Trump off last year,
Yeah.
they all did it within like an hour of each other, right?
Yeah.
It was like YouTube and
Yeah.
Google banned Trump, and then so did Twitter, and so did Facebook.
Oh, they're
like, all
talking
within
to each other for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
They're enemies, but they're friends when they want to be as well.
All right, Ben. Appreciate you coming on. As always, you know you have an open invite.
If I have a minute, okay, because it's a very timely thing regarding the Super Bowl. I was on Wolf Financial Spaces last night. If you guys, it's a great show, by the way. And
yeah, Gav's coming on next week.
Oh, good. So I had a couple ideas for the Super Bowl. There are 2 stocks in the story trading universe, which are VIP picks. Very quickly, it's Wallbox WBX and SOFI, which you all know SOFI. Wallbox, I mean, these are all multi-billion-dollar companies. And Wallbox has a couple Super Bowl commercials coming out. In prior years, I've always noticed there's a pop Monday morning on companies that have Super Bowl commercials. And it's also electric vehicle charging. And you got DCFC, which is up, over 100% in 2 days. It's an EV charging stock, and they're meeting with Biden or something. So I think there's a sentiment tailwind in EV charging.
What was
plus
the
the Super Bowl. DCFC? Oh, you don't know about DCFC? DCFC, it's like it's
up
crazy.
72% today, Ben.
Yeah, and it was up like 60% yesterday. So that's an EV charging
you told us
stock.
about it 2 days ago.
What the hell is this?
Well, I didn't. Yeah. But they're meeting with Biden. Yeah, and they're doing.
No,
like
I don't
the
know
new factory.
about this, but now I do. So
Now
thank
you do. All right. So
Can
that's
I-
giving.
Ben, go ahead.
No, it's giving a little bit of a sentiment tailwind to EV charging stocks, and then you got the Super Bowl Sunday night. So Wallbox is something I bought as a trade. I'm selling that either Friday as an event anticipation or Monday morning after the Super Bowl. And SoFi, maybe even bigger. Everyone knows SoFi, but how many people know Super Bowl's at SoFi Stadium? Maybe people who are really into football know it. But
All right,
I think that
okay.
stock can surge Monday morning.
I cannot wait. If that happens, and I say this as someone who put SoFi in his, long-term portfolio here, and I'm very underwater. If we do get Monday morning pops on Super Bowl commercials, Aaron, let's just start smacking all.
I'm selling them.
Just start selling into all
I'm
that
selling
crap.
Monday morning.
selling into all of it.
Last year we had the Lucid.
Just start hitting bids. Sorry.
Yeah, last year we had the Lucid Motors that ran after a Super Bowl commercial.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Well,
I have no recollection of
It
that.
was still a SPAC at the point. It was, what was it, CCIV? Remember CCIV?
Yeah.
The CCIV SPAC was running because Lucid aired a commercial.
Really? I have no recollection of that happening.
Yeah,
All right.
I think.
I believe it.
All right,
It's a good
Ben. We've got your Super Bowl plays now. Again, thank you for coming on. It's been too long. Look forward to having you on again soon.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good day.
All right.